costs. An HSA is usually only available if you have a high deductible plan. And if you don't use that money within your coverage year, you can roll it over into the next year.
That's not the case with an FSA or flexible spending account. FSAs are opened through an employer if they offer it, and it's use it or lose it, which means you have to use the money you put into an FSA within the year of your coverage plan or it's gone. Both of these types of accounts usually allow you to set aside money before taxes.
Here are two terms that get sometimes confusing: Medicaid and Medicare. Medicaid is a joint state and federal insurance plan that's run by individual states.
Medicaid, a lot of people just associate that with children.
In Texas, people can get Medicaid coverage if they make
Live from KSAT 12, the 6 o'clock news starts right now.
We wanted to come to you and ask a lot of the questions that our viewers are asking.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start with the one we are getting most often.
Sure.
You asked, we got answers. Spurs owner Peter Holt takes KSAT viewer questions about plans for a new downtown Spurs arena. Hear those answers coming up.
But first, we start here new at 6 on Northside ISD. Mom wants answers from school officials. She says that a student assaulted her son last month.
I just want justice for my son. I think the district, the school failed my son. They were not there for him.
She says this happened at Briscoe Middle School. That's near Alamo Ranch. Francis Cortez's son was hospitalized for 2 days. The hospital discharge form says her son suffered a concussion, bruises, and an injury to his eye.
And that injury was so severe that the teen needs to get his prosthetic eye replaced, which is expected to cost thousands of dollars. And while an investigation was done, the mom felt that there was no accountability on the district's end, and she's frustrated that her son's alleged attacker received little punishment for his actions.
I was very upset, very upset. I called the school right away because school was calling me saying they're going to change my son's schedule for his safety. I'm like, why my son's schedule? Why aren't y'all changing that other student's schedule? Or why is he even back in campus?
We reached out to Northside ISD about what happened, and spokesman Barry Perez told us they could not comment specifically on this case. However, he said appropriate punishment was given to the aggressor, and both kids allegedly fought with one another, something Cortez disagrees with.
That's something that you really never want to hear. A gun found on a school campus, and that's why a student at Northeast ISD is facing criminal charges tonight. Now, to be clear, nobody was hurt. This happened today at Lee High School. Administrators say that they got a report that a student could have a weapon. So then they told NEISD police, and those officers say that they found a gun inside the bag of an 18-year-old student. A district spokesperson was unable to confirm if that gun was loaded. And tonight, also another student is in custody, but this one is from Medina Valley ISD. That student is accused of threatening to, quote, shoot up Lacoste Elementary School. This is another case where no shots were fired, nobody was hurt. The school's principal sent parents and staff a letter saying that the Medina Valley ISD's police department got a report about the threat, and they worked with Bexar County Sheriff's deputies on the investigation. District police say that when they went to the student's home, they didn't find weapons. And these last two stories remind us all that it's important to report anything suspicious.
Emotions high in a courtroom today for a teen charged in the murder case of 14-year-old Simon Cuevas.
I would like to be there for my family. You know, it's hard being in here.
That 16-year-old, along with his 14-year-old brother, were first charged with capital murder in this case. Now, that charge has since been downgraded to assault causing bodily injury. Back on April 16th, Cuevas was shot near SAISD's Brewer Academy after police say he was attacked by a group of people. In court today, both teens were told they had until October 23rd to decide whether they will take a plea deal or go to trial. For now, they will remain in juvenile detention. A case that got national attention will now be at the center of a trial that begins this week. Melissa Perez was having what the police chief called a mental health crisis when she was shot and killed by 3 San Antonio police officers.
So now a jury is going to decide if those officers followed protocol. Erica Hernandez shows us the case.
It all started as a disturbance call around 2 a.m. on June 23, 2023, at an apartment complex on the far southwest side. Chief William McManus said firefighters first arrived to the apartment of Melissa Perez, who was allegedly destroying a fire alarm. They then called police officers for help. At first, all that was said was during her interaction with police, Perez did something that threatened the officers, resulting in them firing shots and killing her. Body cam footage would later give us all a closer look to what happened. The edited body camera footage released shows when officers asked her to walk toward them, she says no and goes into her apartment. Officers are then seen on her balcony. Her window is open and officers remove the screen. Perez can be seen trying to close the window and telling them to stop. More yelling can be heard between Perez and the officers, and then she can be seen holding a hammer, and that is when guns are raised at her. Then officers are heard yelling, "Watch out," and gunshots erupted. Chief McManus would later announce that Perez was having a mental health crisis and that Sergeant Alfred Flores, Officer Elizar Alejandro, and Officer Nathaniel Villalobos had been arrested.
The shooting officer's actions were not consistent with SAPD's policy and training, and they placed themselves in a situation where they used deadly force, which was not reasonable given all the circumstances that as we now understand them.
The 3 officers were charged and later indicted, Flores and Alejandro with murder, Villalobos with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Perez's daughter, Alexis Tovar, released a statement to ABC News saying, in part, "We've always been a pro-police family. This breaks my heart." Tovar later appeared on Good Morning America stating how she wanted to prevent something like this from happening again.
She didn't deserve this.
Earlier this year, the trial date was set for jury selection on October 9th, with opening and testimony to begin on the 10th. This trial will look different as all 3 will be tried at the same time, and each having their own attorneys to question witnesses and present their cases. And you can catch all of this live on our open court live stream. You could see it on KSAT.com, KSAT Plus, and KSAT's YouTube page.
Flores and Alejandro face up to life in prison if found guilty, and Villalobos faces up to 20 years in prison if convicted. Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12 News.
Tonight, families of the Romb Elementary School shooting victims are attending a private reception and a tour of the brand new Legacy Elementary School in Uvalde. Tomorrow morning, a public ribbon cutting will be held before teachers then start to move into their classrooms next week. The first day of school for the students will be Monday, October 20th, and the mascot will be the Coyotes. The school opening comes 2 years after construction began and more than 3 years after the shooting. In building this school, careful attention was paid to honor the teachers and students killed at Romb Elementary.
There are many examples of groups of 21, whether it's butterflies or birds or honeybees or limbs on the legacy tree. So I feel good about the way that we were able to accomplish that memory.
The ribbon cutting will take place tomorrow morning at 10, and our Ernie Zuniga will be there live with coverage on GMSA from Uvalde. Let's take a look at traffic out there right now. This is a big backup we've been watching for the last hour or so. This is pretty much the picture it was at 5 o'clock. I-35 at Judson. You can see a ton of construction in this area, an area totally familiar with backups at this point because of that construction, but it's affecting both the main lanes as well as the access road here, I-35 at Judson.
Tonight, there are so many questions after Governor Greg Abbott said that he wants political ideologies removed from Texas streets.
In San Antonio, people now asking if that means rainbow crosswalks in a historic part of the city north of downtown could be wiped away. The governor warned that cities that don't comply with this will face consequences. Iridescent is a local drag queen. She tells us today that she feels like her community is under attack, and she says they will continue to stand up.
It feels weird talking about a crosswalk like all emotional, but it really, really is, because it's just what it represents, the years of fighting, the years of older gay and lesbian people fighting for our rights to exist in San Antonio.
So the city of San Antonio sent us a statement saying, in part, quote, the city is now working with TxDOT to understand the state's specific areas of local concern. There are no immediate plans to make changes to any roadways, and any future changes will occur with city council input.
A cancer diagnosis sidelined a 15-year-old soccer career.
Jalen Escobedo grew up playing the fields over in Floresville, and when she was 13, Jalen noticed that her lymph nodes were swollen. And after visiting with doctors, they diagnosed her with T-cell leukemia.
It is a rare and aggressive type of blood cancer. She spent more than 2.5 years in treatment.
It's hard to look back as well because, I went through a lot. I did get my lung punctured while I had my port placed. I had high methotrexate toxicities. My journey was pretty rough.
Well, today, Jalen is in remission, and this weekend, she will be recognized as one of the Blood Cancer United's honored heroes.
So excited. We're celebrating and honoring people just like Jalen at Light the Night, which is this Saturday at 6 p.m. The event is at The Rock at La Cantera. It's free to go. Scan the QR code on your screen if you'd like to donate.
Still ahead here on the news at 6, it's an event that happens every year, created by a group of moms who lost their own children. Coming up, the meaning behind the Souls Walking for Souls event happening this weekend.
They lost their own children, so they want to save others. And that's why a group of moms created the first ever fentanyl awareness walk in Texas a few years ago.
And this Sunday is the third annual Souls Walking for Souls event, not just honoring lives lost, but it's packed with education for all families. Courtney Friedman will MC that event on Sunday and spoke to some of the angel moms about why they hope the community will come out and join them.
Braden was 21. He had just turned 21 when we lost him in July 18th of 2020. He loved music, loved gaming, loved his Mustang, his family.
Jake Ryan was poisoned in April 30th, 2021. He was a wonderful person. I miss him.
We found out it was oxy that was laced with fentanyl, so it was truly one pill that killed him.
He started struggling with anxiety, and he asked a friend for something, and they gave him an oxy, just one pill.
The story's tragically similar for these angel moms. Nikki Goals losing her son and Martha Johnson losing her grandson.
We didn't even know what fentanyl was. I've never heard of it.
That's why these women joined other angel moms, vowing to prevent these deaths from happening. They created Souls Walking for Souls, the first ever fentanyl awareness walk in Texas. Now in its third year, the event has exploded. Hundreds show up not just to honor lives, but hear from people in the highest offices in the city, county, and state.
It's about learning more about fentanyl. It's about learning more about what's coming down the drug pipeline. It's about how to save a life.
Parents take life-saving information home with them.
They need to speak to their kids and not feel they're too young. It's so sad, but like 10 years old up, they need to know that there's something out there that is poison, and for them not to take anything from anyone. And it's in vape, it's in pot, it's in everything.
They will also have free Narcan at the event. This is the nose spray medication that reverses an opioid overdose or poisoning, and they'll be teaching us how to use it. I'll be emceeing the event on Sunday, so I hope to see you there. From the newsroom, Courtney Friedman, KSAT 12 News.
The Souls Walking for Souls event, resource fair, and the whole event is Sunday, 3 to 8 p.m. at the Green Line at Brooks City Base.
3 days from today. Okay, now we want to take a live look outside just to see what it's like out there. I mean, I saw a picture a moment ago and the skies look nice and blue. 90 degrees out there right now. All right, so Adam, let's talk about what could happen 12 hours from now in the morning. Seems pretty comfy.
Not as warm. I hesitate to call it, cool, but I mean mid-60s. It's actually still going to be above average for this time of year, but at least we're seeing some improvement temperature-wise. So mornings will be a little bit cooler or not as warm. Afternoons will be significantly less humid starting tomorrow, and we're watching the tropics, a lot of Pacific moisture out there. Unfortunately, it's just missing our neck of the woods, but going to some folks who need it. So tomorrow morning, between 66 and 68 around San Antonio. Outlying areas, we get into the lower 60s in the hill country. But notice the trend. Generally speaking, mid to upper 60s, but the average low is 63. So we're still above that. Let's talk about the tropical moisture. Two systems. Tropical Storm Priscilla and Tropical Storm Raymond. Raymond's the newest one. This one's just south of Mexico. Now, these are both going to be steered into the desert Southwest and West Texas. Now, not as tropical storms, but as remnant rain-making energy and mid and upper level moisture. Unfortunately, the Big Blue H, it's going to be parked right overhead and right over central Texas, and that's going to help funnel this leftover Pacific moisture and rain into Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and Utah, and even parts of West Texas as well. And also we'll have a series of these upper level disturbances coming into the western U.S. with their respective clockwise and counterclockwise circulations around them. That's going to funnel that Pacific moisture into the Four Corners and parts of West Texas. It'll get as close as about Fort Stockton and roughly the Lubbock area. That's about it. Unfortunately, that steering wind is going to keep it away. But it is going to folks who need it. Arizona, New Mexico, seeing widespread drought. Now, as a whole across Texas, we're seeing a little bit more drought off to the north, spotty in coverage. Now, 26% of the state considered in drought. It pretty much remains the same around here. We just now have this yellow category in parts of the hill country, and that's the abnormally dry, which isn't technically a drought category, but it supersedes. I mean, it precedes a drought category. All right, Tropical Storm Jerry still out in the Atlantic. Max sustained winds right now of 65 miles per hour. This is just outside the Caribbean between the Leeward and Windward Islands, headed northward toward Bermuda, probably becoming a hurricane, a low-end hurricane, and then arcing east. This storm staying out over the ocean. 93 our high today, 73 our low. Our low is 10 degrees above average. And then this afternoon, we were 8 degrees above average and actually 1 degree shy of the record, 94 set back in 2014. Right now we're at 90, dew point of 59, so not overly humid, but we're going to see these dew points, which were a little noticeable for most of the day today. They're going to be dropping significantly. We're talking dewies in the 40s and 50s, mainly for the afternoons and evenings, starting tomorrow, lasting through the weekend, and I think even into next week. So then that leads to what I think is the best time of day between about 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. outside. The evenings are great when we have that lack of mugginess and the sun gets low and then sets, so you don't have the warmth from the sun. Anyway, temperatures right now around 90, give or take a few degrees. Bulverde 87, 92 Floresville. Tarpley, meanwhile, at 86. But 81 by 10 o'clock midnight, we're down to 77. And like I said, tomorrow morning, not as warm. Most of us in the mid to upper 60s. And then 93 in the afternoon. So the afternoon temperatures, they're not changing much. They're going to be above average going forward. The average high temperature is 85. And we're going to remain, I think, at least in the low 90s for the foreseeable future.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. All right, Larry, survey says we all love Wemby. And
Yes.
apparently some big wigs in the NBA do, too.
Yeah, so the general managers, it's their annual survey leading into the new start of every season. And they were asked 49 questions about players, teams, head coaches. Well, Victor Wembanyama came up in many of those categories, and he really cleaned up in the defensive ones. And in college football, UT is looking to rebound against Oklahoma at the Red River rivalry coming up.
Yeah, we got to learn from, obviously we didn't play well on Saturday, and we got to learn from it and get better and go play well against OU.
Arch Manning is getting ready to face the Sooners at the Cotton Bowl in Big Board Sports. The Spurs were shorthanded in Miami last night, and they still beat the Heat 112-107. The Spurs' largest lead was 13, and the Heat, they led by as many as 9. This game had 10 lead changes and 11 ties. Keldon Johnson paced the Spurs with 19 points. Devin Vassell was next in line with 12 in his preseason debut. And Luke Cornett had 9 points and 11 rebounds off the bench. The Spurs are now 2-0. Here's head coach Mitch Johnson.
I thought tonight, obviously we played with some lineups and combinations that we have not practiced with. There was at times we were left for wanting for more in terms of some of the execution and the turnovers, and I thought our competitive response a few times was really, really good. And from the guys that started the second half all the way to the group that finished the game, I thought we had a really good variety of competitive response amongst the group, and that was nice to see. And I think that obviously is on the defensive end and rebounding specifically.
Julian Champagny scored 15 points, all on three-pointers. He made his first 5 threes and finished the night 5 of 7 from downtown. The Spurs have guys who can space the floor and open up shots for guys like Julian.
For sure. I think we have, obviously, like I said, De'Aaron, Vic, Dylan hasn't played yet, Steph hasn't played yet. And I still consider Devin that group, along with KJ, of guys who can put pressure on the rim with the ball in their hand. And it's going to force teams to say, well, either we're going to collapse and guard that, or we're going to guard the 3. So it's kind of it's nice. It's nice to have that variety of shooting plus attacking. So it should be fun. I think it'll be a good mix.
The Spurs are back home, and they will host the Jazz tomorrow night at 7 at the Frostbank Center. The 2025-26 NBA General Manager Survey is out. The GMs responded to 49 different questions, and the Spurs' Victor Wembanyama got some love, of course, from the GMs. When asked who is the most versatile player in the NBA, he tied for first with the Bucks' Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now let's check out the categories, and Wemby did come in first. He was voted the best defensive player and the best interior defender in the NBA, and the GMs voted him the player that they would start an NBA franchise around, and Spurs guard De'Aaron Fox was voted the fastest player with the ball. Unranked Texas is getting ready to face undefeated and 6th-ranked Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry this Saturday at 2:30 live right here on KSAT 12. 2 weeks ago, this was looking to be a top 10 matchup, but the Horns' 29-21 loss of Florida ended that dream because UT is no longer ranked. Coach Sark knows that they have to play better up front if they hope to beat the Sooners.
To me, one of the biggest storyline of the game was the line of scrimmage. 6 sacks to none. Their ability to run the ball, our inability to run the ball, I think created all of the other opportunities in the game. Created their explosive plays in the pass game, allowed them to rush the quarterback on our end. We just need to play better. We need to play better when we start the ball game, and we will.
Texas and Oklahoma will face off Saturday, 2:30 p.m. at the Cotton Bowl, and KSAT 12 Sports will be there.
I hope the other GMs know they can't have Wemby.
They cannot have Wemby, yes.
It's ours. All right.
Yeah.
Thank
sure.
you.
All right. Thanks, Larry. Okay, coming up next, Spurs owner Peter Holt. He answers your questions about a new arena downtown. We'll be right back. For the last several weeks, we have been asking what questions you have about a possible new Spurs arena downtown.
Spurs, the city of San Antonio, and Bexar County would pay for that, and Bexar County's part of that funding is on the ballot next month.
So before voting starts, I took questions from KSAT viewers to Spurs ownership. Here's my conversation with Peter Holt. I'm going to start with the one we are getting most often.
Sure.
Why can't the Spurs pay for a new arena all by themselves? Why do you need public dollars to do that?
We're the 27th out of 30th market size in the NBA. And that has always pushed us to be creative and pushed us to be scrappy and quite honestly pushed us to match kind of the energy of San Antonio of being the underdog. The partnership that we have today with the Bexar County in the Frost Bank Center used the venue tax to support building the Frost Bank Center. We've proven that that's been very successful over the past 25 years with our partnership with the county, and we want to continue that now with the partnership with the county and the city using visitor taxes that have no impact on our local citizens. Of the 30 NBA teams, there's only 3 that have been privately financed. 27 have a public-private partnership. The fact is that our market size is a direct correlation in the ability to pay for things.
Both the city and the county have said they will use hotel occupancy taxes and car rental taxes. So a tax on anybody who rents a hotel room and a tax on somebody who rents a car. That's why this has been coined the tax on tourists, right? So one viewer asked us, hotel occupancy taxes would be used to help pay for the new arena, but tourism in San Antonio is down. What happens if the tax plan falls short? Who pays for that?
So the projections that have been done to support the arena financing are very conservative. And so they use basically very low-end tax revenue that come from visitors to be able to support paying for the bonds that need to be issued to pay for the arena. And I would say that if people think there is a risk to that, I would say look at what's happened for the past 25 years. So for the past 25 years, we have used the venue tax to build the Frost Bank Center. And then again, it was reauthorized by our supporters and fans in the community to do a big renovation. Now, over that time from 2000 to 2025, there's been a bunch of cycles in our economy. There's been a bunch of cycles in our tourism revenue. There was COVID. So there was major disruptions to that tax revenue, yet the county and the Spurs were still able to pay for the arena and to pay for any debt that was put on to construct the arena or maintain the arena.
And the Spurs are also agreeing to pay any costs that go over what the county and the city are planning to contribute. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I mean, that's a big part of our formula that we've done every time with the county.
Next viewer question here. At any time, for any reason, could San Antonio residents or taxpayers be negatively affected by this project, such as increased taxes other than hotel venue taxes?
No, there's the funds that we are using are restricted. I think that's important for people to know, is that these tax funds are restricted for entertainment venues, convention centers. That's about it.
This is another viewer question. Does the public have to pay extra taxes when they go to restaurants, cafes, or extra taxes on purchases within that tax zone around Hemisphere?
No, the sales tax stays the same.
A big concern from a lot of viewers about parking. What will parking look like? So this question I thought kind of hit it all here. Parking is already a challenge downtown and is too expensive at the Alamo Dome. How much parking will be available and what will it cost at the new arena?
We can't tell people exactly how many parking spaces because we haven't done the design work that's necessary, but our commitment is that the ingress and egress is really important to us. Logistics, parking, accessibility, the overall cost of going to a game or going to an event those are really critical priorities to us.
A viewer asked us what happens 15 years from now. If the Spurs want a new arena then, they've had the Alamo Dome, Frost Bank Center, and now this possible new arena. What's to stop that from happening in another 15 years?
What I would say is, first, the Alamo Dome was not built for the Spurs. I think there's an unfortunate myth around that. The Alamo Dome was really built to attract an NFL team or a football team, and we were kind of pushed to play in there. I think what's unfortunately lost in this is the Frost Bank Center will have a great sustainable future with the rodeo, and the rodeo is such a positive impact on our city with the amount of scholarships and youth program that they do. So I think the risk of that dying on the vine is low. And then, you know, we look at this next arena for us as our super long-term future. We have no ideas or visions of a different arena.
And part of the deal also includes a 30-year non-relocation agreement. Is that right? The Spurs agreeing, hey, we're going to be here. If this happens, we're going to be here for another 30 years.
That's right. Yeah.
So the question then becomes, if the arena doesn't happen, do the Spurs leave San Antonio?
You know, we're not focused on this election not passing. I mean, I think our belief has always been, whether it's on the court or off the court, we have excellence and we have winning in our DNA. And so we're confident and optimistic that this will pass, and that's our plan.
A viewer wrote to us and said, what's wrong with the Frost Bank Center? Why can't you improve what you already have?
Yeah, a couple things. The rough life of a building to maintain and even grow it as an NBA standard, NBA approved arena, the general life is about 30 years. It's kind of why the leases are set up that way. And so as we look at the Frost Bank Center, for us to both invest in it to make it up to standard, or really our goal is to advance it beyond the standard for the fan experience, would take a tremendous investment of dollars into the Frost Bank Center. We have a partner that wants to take over, and for their needs, they don't need to invest as much money as we would need to put in it to make it viable for another 30 years.
This is a question I got to get in. How will this affect Wemby's legacy?
You know, I 2 days talked to Victor about this because he's I think a really curious person and knows what's going on, and I think he's really excited about this opportunity. I think he's really excited about being in a world-class fan-centered. That's what he talked a lot about, is how will this make this the next phase the best home for the best fans in the world.
So that was just part of my Q&A with Peter Holt. We got to even more viewer questions than what you saw there. You can watch the full conversation right now on KSAT.com.
Coming up, he was left with life-altering injuries, and his family says the justice system failed them. That's next on the News at 6.
At 5, we introduced you to Katie and Matthew Belknap and their search for justice. In 2018, Matthew was nearly killed in a hit-and-run crash. Marissa Ross pled no contest in that crash and was ordered shock probation. Fast forward 5 years, and the family says she hasn't held up the court order.
Katie Belknap says after months of asking for Marissa Ross's letters, requesting to talk to the judge, and calls to the district attorney's office and probation office, she and Matt have been let down by the justice system.
You don't get to pick and choose what you follow. And there's got to be accountability. The judge orders something. It has not happened. 42 months, I didn't get a single letter. She's made it clear she's not coming to Georgia. I feel like there's been no repercussions. Probation didn't file anything. Everybody just chose what to follow.
KSAT could find no online court records of probation violations, but Katie says Ross has yet to make the annual 2-week trip to care for Matt, and the letters came after she started calling everyone in the Bexar County justice system for answers. A statement from District Attorney Joe Gonzalez's office says although his office didn't prosecute the case, they've intervened to assist in getting the Belknaps answers, adding that the case was transferred to the Bexar County Adult Probation Office for supervision, and they have, quote, not been notified by the probation department of any violations, end quote, and can't take any action. The Director of Community Supervision and Corrections Department, Jarvis Anderson, said they could not, quote, comment and give specific details on a probationer's compliance with conditions of their community supervision, end quote. We wanted to know why judges have not enforced the full terms of the probation. The drug court judge referred my emails to Judge Jennifer Peña. My messages to Judge Peña were not returned. After her last court appearance, we asked Ross if she had any intention to go to Georgia.
I would like to make sure that I take care of what I need to take care of this case. So I would just like to go ahead and take care of these. So that's what I'm going to do.
You want her in jail?
There's just no remorse whatsoever. Yeah, I think she needs to go for the 10 years like this is ordered. And this 10 years is a flat 10 years. Judge Peña said it'll be a day for day. Like she'll do 10 years on this versus 18 months.
By the way, that was Ross's most recent mugshot. In August, she spent a week in jail, which was part of her probation requirement, and it didn't appear in the court records that had happened until this year. Ultimately, Belknap says accountability lies in Ross, who knew the terms of her probation. In court, the judge said there's going to be a hearing to address whether or not Ross will be heading to Georgia.
And that was our Patty Santos reporting as we thought to show you this nice live picture out there. 90 degrees, and we're going to help you get ready for the weekend in a few minutes.
Oh, I'm ready. Meteorologist Adam Gaske has your forecast after the break.
Welcome back, my friends. It is Friday Eve, and apparently there's a party all to the west of us, right?
Somebody getting some rain out of it.
Yeah, not a rager, but it's, you know, a little celebration off to the west. Laughlin Air Force Base just about to get clipped by this little line of rain that just popped up. At 5 o'clock, I was talking about two outflow boundaries that were colliding and could make a new shower, and that's exactly what happened near Bracketville. And still one outflow boundary is just sitting right there. It does run the opportunity of a brief shower developing before sunset, but most of this is between Del Rio and Bracketville. There's Laughlin, I mentioned right there, just about to get clipped by a brief shower. If you're lucky, you could see a half inch or so of rain from this downpour, and hopefully it sustains itself and actually does hit Del Rio and 277 here as it nears the Rio Grande. But that's it. Otherwise, farther to the south, just outside of Eagle Pass, another shower. That's all we have to speak of. The overall precipitation trend lasting all the way through October 19th is below average for us, above average in the western U.S., and that directly coincides with below average temperatures in the western U.S. Meanwhile, here, of course, we're going to stay above average. Now, mornings won't be as warm. We'll be down in the mid to upper 60s, but that's still a little above average for this time of year. Now, here's why we're going to see the below average temperatures will stay and the cooler air is going to stay away from us. Upper level high, Big Blue H, parked right over Texas. And then we have a few of these upper level swirls, those disturbances, the counterclockwise swirls that'll be dropping into the western U.S. Those pull the cooler air southward. That's what happens when we see cooler air this time of year. Those upper level lows and disturbances are going to stay west of us because of the blocking high. So the blocking high is not going to allow any of that cooler air to really work its way in, at least within the foreseeable future right now. There have been some signals that closer to the latter half of the month, I mean, we're talking maybe the 21st, 22nd or so, there could be a cold front or a cool front, but right now I'm not convinced of that actually happening. At least it's something we can hope for. So that's why the cooler weather is going to be out west and not here. So that means for us, instead of highs in the mid 80s, which is average high is 85, we're going to be in the low 90s going forward. Low 90s for high temperatures. Not quite at record breaking territory, but definitely above average. All right, two tropical systems in the Pacific. We have Priscilla, tropical storm, and Raymond. Now, the remnants of these are going to move into the desert Southwest and even West Texas, along with its rain-making energy and the upper-level moisture. Unfortunately, they'll be steered away from us. Parts of West Texas and the Panhandle could get some of the rain, but most of it's going to be Arizona and New Mexico, where they already have the flood watches in place, and they get flash flooding very easily there, and we can relate to that. 90 right now, dew point of 59. Dew points are going to drop. They have been in the muggy category today, but going forward, it's going to be pleasant. You won't notice the humidity combined with the unseasonably warm temperatures and above average afternoon readings, with dew points mostly in the 40s and 50s, especially in the afternoons and evenings in the days ahead starting tomorrow. In the morning tomorrow, 68, 87 noon, 93 the high temperature, a lot of sunshine, and a light easterly breeze at 5 to 10. 88 Fredericksburg tomorrow, Beeville 93, along with Uvalde, and 94 in Gonzales. And then it's very just similar day after day. Morning temperatures in the 60s, afternoons in the low 90s. We are hoping and praying and crossing our fingers for a real cold front we can talk about and look forward to. And of course, some rain. That's what we need more than anything. All right, a little bit of thermometer Thursday, along with get to know your weatherman.
Okay.
Oh, shoot, I put that right in front of that. No, it's okay. Put that logo back up. What does a Greek Olympic torch thermometer, homemade by the folks at St. Sophia's, have to do with Adam Caskey? Now, here's the thing.
Do I know this? I think I know this.
You might, but we're going to get into it in more detail coming up next week.
Okay.
Because we couldn't quite put it all together because it's a little more immersive. But some of this, I think, will even surprise you, Myra, who you think you have the answer.
This sounds familiar, but I don't quite remember. So stay tuned, as they say.
What's your guess? There's a few answers.
You've told me a story, and I'm going to have to rack my brain to remember. Give me till next Thursday.
I've got a few of them. By the way, if we could pop the graphic back up, I do have a winner. We have Joshua Villagomez. Woo!
Congratulations.
Yeah, of San Antonio. Go to ksat.com/thermometer to enter the draw. And that's not for the Olympic torch one. It's for what you see on the screen.
You know, Justin Horn, when he asks questions, he gives multiple choice. We don't get that?
No, you don't get that. No. But maybe I'll give you like 2 truths and a lie or something. You know, we could do that.
I like that.
Let's do that. Okay. Next Thursday.
We'll be right back.
Thanks, Adam. Let's take a look at what's on ABC's primetime tonight at 7 and 8. Catch the season premieres of 911 and 911 Nashville. Then at 9, it's the season premiere of Grey's Anatomy. Finally, join us back here at 10 o'clock for the Night Beat. That's all our time. Thanks for watching the News at 6.
And we'll see you right back here on the Night Beat. Have a nice dinner.